Last Word, and I'm Maria Shakil. Pakistan's tit-for-tat on Iran's Sistan-Balochistan province, coming 24 hours after Iran's missile and drone strikes in Pakistan's Baluchistan. Tehran claims 9 non-Iranians, mostly women and children, have been killed. Pakistan Army is on an alert after both countries expelled their diplomatic representatives. What's interesting is that both Iran and Pakistan are singing similar tunes. Both say the action was against terrorist groups acting from across the border.
None of the nationals of the friendly and the brotherly country of Pakistan were targeted by the missiles and the drones of Iran. There is this group, so-called al-Adl, which is an Iranian terrorist group, and they have taken shelter in some parts of the Sistan-Balochistan province of Pakistan. For several times we have talked to a lot of officials in Pakistan and the security forces there. They carried out some operations in Iran, especially in the Rosk police station. They killed our security personnel. We responded accordingly. We only targeted Iranian terrorists on the soil of Pakistan. Before this,
Pakistan is a victim of terrorism. Over the last 1 year, only in Baluchistan, we had more than 80 terrorist incidents in which 240 people were killed. So we are the victim of terrorism, and wherever terrorism is, Pakistan has tried its best to stamp out and be a force of stability, not only within but outside of the region. So this is unacceptable, and Pakistan has a right to respond to any aggression committed against its sovereignty.
Pakistan's military carried out strikes against terrorist hideouts in neighboring Iran 2 days after Tehran bombed what it said were Iranian terrorists sheltering on Pakistani soil. The Foreign Ministry of Pakistan said that its military strikes killed a number of terrorists in Iran's border province of Sistan-Balochistan. Sources say that Pakistan has asked Iran to exercise restraint. As you can see on the map, Iran and Pakistan share a border, and the strike seems to have taken place in the border province of Sistan-Balochistan, which lies in Iran. Iran says at least 9 people were killed in the strikes, including women and children. In the immediate aftermath of the strikes, the Pakistani diplomat was summoned to the Iranian Foreign Ministry to provide an explanation about the incident. So what are the details regarding this militant group? al-Adl is a Pakistani-based militant group that first surfaced in 2012. It primarily comprises members of the Sunni militant Jundullah group. It has been staging frequent attacks on Iran since 2013. Its members belong to the ethnic Baloch community that lives on both sides of the border. The group wants independence from Iran's eastern Sistan and Pakistan's southwestern Baluchistan provinces. Due to these goals, the group is a common target for both Iran and Pakistan. The trigger of these recent confrontations were the Iranian strikes on Pakistan's Baluchistan province late on Tuesday. With the region already simmering with multi-pronged conflicts, further escalation has the potential to pull in other groups and make matters worse.
And joining me, Yusra Askari she's a journalist in Pakistan, joining me from Karachi. We also have Dr. Fouad Izadi, Associate Professor, World Studies at University of Tehran. Qamar Agha is International Affairs expert. Rajiv Dogra is former Indian ambassador and also former Consular General to Karachi, Pakistan. Fouad, I'm going to begin with you. The question on everybody's mind is, where is it all heading? There is a military comparison. If we were to do that, Pakistan has an edge over Iran. But Iran doesn't seem to be backing off either. So the question is, where is it all heading? Who will de-escalate? Who will make that move for de-escalation?
You know, Iran-Pakistan relations have been good historically. There are no border disputes. There are no major problems. Economic relations have been increasing in recent years. Iranians, like Pakistanis, like people from the subcontinent, there are a lot of cultural linkage, religious linkage. This incident, I don't think, will be a serious problem in the relationship. We don't expect any wars between Iran and Pakistan. In fact, Pakistanis understand that having terrorist organizations inside Pakistan operating against neighboring countries is not good for Pakistan. And it's understandable that people are concerned about their territorial integrity. And but you know, Iran is trying to make a point that if Iran is attacked, whoever is responsible for that attack will face consequences, whether they're no matter where they are. And I think Iran has made that point. And so as far as I can tell you, this is not going to be a serious problem.
Okay, so Yusra, the opinion that you heard, that's certainly the opinion within Iran. But what about Pakistan? The reason why I'm asking is that it's about elections. The elections are around the corner. Next month, Pakistan goes to polls. So are there domestic considerations here at play for the Prime Minister to go on this overdrive?
Maria, I think what is important to note is the timing of the attack that took place alongside the borders of Iran and Pakistan. And I think that Pakistan was in a position where domestic pressures did push Pakistan to react in a timely and prompt manner. For the moment, we do not see elections being derailed, but what we do see is a consensus that Pakistan will not allow its borders to be infiltrated by any one neighbor at any given point. Pakistan has repeatedly, in its communiques, in its formal responses so far, has kept on saying that Iran is a brotherly nation, and we wish for taking forward a dialogue with Iran to bring a de-escalation to the current situation. However, at the time, the situation does remain volatile, and one hopes to see it de-escalate in the near future.
So what will lead to the de-escalation? Because if there are domestic, reasons why the Prime Minister went ahead with this kind of retaliatory attack, then he must be under pressure from within the domestic, constituents to act tough. But you're acting tough against another Islamic Republic.
I think, Maria, it's not solely the pressures of an election or pressures from internal sources. Pakistan has gone on record to say that the Foreign Office and various other quarters of the state have approached Iran, saying that these terrorists do function from off their soil and attack Pakistan. These outfits, including the BLA and the BLR, the Baluch Liberation Armies have repeatedly been identified, and Iran has failed to act against them. This is what the state of Pakistan has said. But for the moment, what is important for there not to be another flashpoint in the region, for there to be a steady de-escalation. Neither Iran nor Pakistan can afford this tussle at this point. Wars have no winners, only losers. And I think it is important to know that jingoism is not the way ahead. We need to de-escalate the temperature.
But what is clearly evident here, Ambassador Dogra, is that there is no jingoism per se that is coming from both the leadership. But this is an extraordinary step which has been taken by both the countries when they are saying that they are attacking militants on each other's soil. But the larger question is, will there be de-escalation, and how soon, and which will be the country which will be initiating that process of de-escalation?
Well, I think we have to get some fundamentals right. Iran and Pakistan have exchanged fire along their border in the past. It's been shelling, it's been gunfight, but certainly not crossing the territory of the other country. That has not happened in the way it has happened over the last 2-3 days. The second thing to be noted is that in December only last year, December 23, 11 Iranian security men were killed by the terrorist group or someone else is not clear. But Iran says that they were killed by Jaish al-Adl. Let's leave it at that. The other thing is that even in this recent exchange, Pakistan has not claimed any civilian death in its territory. Pakistan has also not denied that camps were destroyed by Iranian attack. Whereas Iran claims that of the 9 people who were killed, 2 were children, 2 or 3 were women. So obviously, the Pakistani attack resulted in civilian deaths. So the resentment on the Iranian side, I think, should naturally be a lot more because they are not combatants in the sense that that the people in Pakistan who were killed were supposed to be terrorists or whatever. As to your question, whether it will escalate or can it de-escalate, I think in any conflict situation, it will not be correct to guess as to what the next step is going to be. Let us also not forget that Pakistan took its action because of the public pressure. Whether they are admitting it or not, there was public pressure, and that is why Pakistan went on to tell its media and social activists that do not even mention that Iran has attacked us in Baluchistan. So obviously they are aware of the sensitivities, and these sensitivities become even
so
greater
if it is
when you have
public
elections.
pressure, given the fact that the elections are going to take place, next month, Qamar Agha, I want to understand from you then, as far as diplomatic standoff is concerned between the two countries, it's really, really at a point where they have recalled ambassadors from each other's nations. So, and this is also coming at a time when there was almost a second-level communication between the two countries, both at civilian and military levels. Then there is this escalation which has happened. Whose purpose is it really serving?
You see, this, as Ambassador Dogra has mentioned, this is a perennial problem, and it will continue to recur, as long as these militant camps are operating in Pakistan. And the problem is Pakistan's policy of strategic depth or policy of supporting these militant across the region, that is continuing. There's no change in Pakistan's policy, number one. As far as this round is concerned, I think it is over. Pakistan is not in a position to go in for a long drawn battle or, for that matter, deploy its large number of troops at the border. Their economy is 350 billion only. Debt is rising. Inflation is very high. Thirdly, growth rate is only 2.5%. So that is the situation there. Secondly, there is a big pressure from China on both the countries, not to indulge in such activities and indulge in this type of skirmishes. And Pakistan has realized it cannot go further. And Pakistan is all-weather friend of China.
Yes.
So therefore, I think this round is over, but may recur after some time, because Iran is also very important for Pakistan. It supplies electricity, then LNG, diesel, and many other commodities,
Okay, that's why my question is, Qamar Agha, what exactly is Iran's motivation for attacking Pakistan? Because that certainly remains opaque.
No, motivation is clear. Iran has indicated that it will not accept this thing, You have to close down this border. That's why I'm saying Iran again will strike, after some time.
Okay.
Will not sit idle, because there are other reasons also. This is the region where Chabahar is there. This is the region where large number of private companies are going to invest, not only the Iranians, but also Chinese, Indian, and many other countries, because they have a industrial corridor also there, plus the port which India is building. So therefore, this region dominated by ethnic Baluch, So it's a very sensitive area, where Iran will not accept, the Pakistan's behavior or Pakistan's support of these militant groups, giving them shelter and sending them there.
Okay.
That is not acceptable.
Okay. Okay, let me bring in Yusra again. Yusra, who will be deciding the threshold here? Because one does get a sense that US is, because it has been an ally of Pakistan, does it decide the threshold here?
I personally feel that the threshold is yet to be decided. How things will pan out the next 24 hours or 48 hours might be further to tell us. Tomorrow, the National Security Council meets in Pakistan. The Prime Minister will chair that meeting. We are also hearing that tonight there will be a wait and watch policy whereby which Iran's actions or possible retaliations will be gauged. So at the moment, that threshold is yet undecided. But the communiques that have come from both the ISPR and the Foreign Office repeatedly indicate a possibility of a toning down, of a de-escalation, of a possibility of dialogue. And whereas Pakistan does not officially acknowledge China having approached it, we do know that there are some backdoor conversations happening whereby China is trying to cool down temperatures in the region. Ambassador Dogra did say there were no civilian casualties reported in Pakistan post the attack. I would just like to correct him by saying there were 2 children killed and 3 others injured. Also, the possible notification that he's referencing with regard to the media being silenced, that was factually incorrect. It is a fake notification doing the rounds on social media. So at the moment, the situation remains fairly murky, fairly fluid, but both quarters do know that there needs to be a steady de-escalation because neither country at this point is in a situation where a full-fledged war can be waged.
Dr. Izadi, let me ask the same question. Perhaps that, de-escalation is the need of the hour. That's what you also say. But there is that public pressure about which Ambassador Dogra was talking about on Pakistan. It's going to elections in a month's time. So will that be a point that will decide its equation with its, very old friend, now an enemy?
I think Iran is trying to reduce tensions. It's not good for the region to have a confrontation between Iran and Pakistan. We haven't, as I said, since the creation of Pakistan, we have not had any major problems with our neighbors towards the east. And I think that will continue. I think this incident will pass. Iran is not trying to escalate, and I don't think Pakistanis are planning to do that either.
But why is there larger fear of both these countries? Because can there be some kind of trigger from these countries? Let's not forget that these are nuclear powers that we are looking at.
I think talking about war between Iran and Pakistan is premature. I don't see any evidence for it. I don't think the leaders of both countries are interested in that. Iran needed to respond to a terrorist organization that had attacked and engaged in an operation inside Iran. That's what Iran needed to do. Iran did that. That's finished. And I don't think Pakistanis would want to confront Iran. The leadership in Pakistan, I think, is intelligent enough, capable enough to realize that fighting a neighbor is not good for Pakistan.
Okay, Dr. Izadi, my last question, because what is being said is that the genesis is an old Shia-Sunni conflict. Would you please put that in context for our viewers?
This is not a Shia-Sunni conflict. Iran, as you know, has been the main supporter of Hamas. Iran is accused of supporting Hamas, and Iran is proud of supporting Hamas. It's one accusation that Iran is fully accepting. And Hamas is a Sunni organization. Palestinians are Sunnis. And Iran has been paying a high price for supporting Palestine. All the sanctions, all the difficulties that Iran has with United States comes from this fact. In fact, American officials have said this repeatedly, that if Iran stops its support for Palestine, all the sanctions that Iran is facing will go away. In fact, Iran's relations with Pakistan and India will improve because of one obstacle we have are these sanctions. But Iran has decided, I think rightly, to support the Palestinian cause without being concerned about the fact that Palestinians are Sunni. So Iran's foreign policy is a little bit more complicated than just supporting Shias or supporting Sunnis. The general principle is supporting the oppressed. That's why Iran's relations with Latin American countries that are opposing American hegemony is quite good, and they are not even Muslim, they're Christians. So overall, I think framing Iran's foreign policy in Shia-Sunni terminology is not going to be very accurate.
Okay. Let me go back to the to Ambassador Dogra. Ambassador Dogra, the sense from both the sides is that there'll be no further escalation. But what can lead to de-escalation?
Well, firstly, this is very good news that both the Iranian side and the Pakistani side, represented by sober journalists, and I must thank Yusra for correcting me in terms of the death caused by the Iranian attack. I'm very sorry to hear that 2 children among those who were the casualties. But that apart, the fact is that in matters of differences between countries, you cannot say for sure, despite best intentions, that the next step will not be even deeper into a provocation. It's quite possible that, after all, there are reports, they may be fake reports, that Iranian Security Council has met under the leadership of its president. So it's quite possible that they may feel strongly enough to think of the next step. After all, they are also answerable to their people.
Okay.
Secondly, whether we like it or not, the fact is that there are elections taking place in Pakistan, and those elections are a little sensitive subject for the Pakistani army. The counterattack that Pakistan did may not have had the immediate participation of prime ministerial approval because he was in Switzerland, unless he had traveled back before the attack.
That's right.
So it is really the Pakistani army which is the decision maker in terms of whether to escalate or not.
And they continue to be the most volatile, group here. Yusra, you get the last word. Please go ahead.
I think across the board, one hopes that this de-escalates soon enough, but Pakistan's elections are certainly a situation that one does need to watch closely. And what this attack or reciprocal kind of exchange of fire has done on either side of the border, predominantly in Pakistan, is served to unify political parties that were otherwise rallying differently or against one another or against various arms of the establishment. So at the moment, there needs to be some sort of quelling of temperatures regionally, but also within Pakistan, the need to head towards those elections is immediate, which is recognized both by the political parties and the establishment in power at the time.
Appreciate your time, Dr. Izadi Kamaraga and Ambassador Dogra. A story we'll continue to track very closely because the situation seems to be certainly very, very volatile. Will it really spiral out of control? That remains to be seen. Thanks so much for watching.